Senator Heinrich.
Actually, I want to follow up a little bit on this line of questioning regarding further downstream. And I guess one of the things, if I understand your testimony correctly, there was a heavy equipment contractor on the site who was a contractor, but there was also EPA supervision at the site as well. Did that arrangement in any way contribute to or complicate the response in this case? And if you would also talk a little bit about whether you're finding that the fact that this was at the convergence of effectively 3 EPA regions, how that may have complicated the response, because we found that to be cumbersome and confusing in the early hours, and what you have learned for how to deal with an issue that may quickly migrate from one EPA region to multiple EPA regions.
Let me answer your first question. I feel like it would be inappropriate for me to give a judgment on your question about what contributed at the site, because clearly that's something that I wouldn't have an independent understanding of, and why we want DOI to do a job with the Army Corps and others to independently look at this. I think the challenge for us is to wait till October so that then we can take action beyond that. In the meantime, I have put in place a hiatus on any similar activities so that I will learn the lessons when they come and will take advantage of those. And I'll take actions if it's warranted on any disciplinary action as well. We'll just see where it comes out, and we'll act appropriately. Now, in terms of the notification, you know, one of the things that we did as well was to tell people to stop and take a look at what happened and to revise their contingency plan accordingly. I have no doubt that there's difficulties for EPA and others when we shift states and shift from tribal and state lands. I think that may have added to the confusion. I can't say whether it did, but I do know it should not have, because we do regional plans. We do area plans, and those should have kicked in. Part of the challenge is to stop worrying about redundancy and to make sure that if people get 5 calls, it's better than getting none. And I think there was some of that gap that played into this that should never happen again.
Well, I would urge some level of specificity on that issue as we move forward, and if you could get that for us, it would be very helpful, because I think that you have one region in Colorado, and then as this migrates to New Mexico, you have another region, and then as it enters the Navajo Nation, you have a third region. I think that made things very cumbersome in the early hours to figure out who both municipal, tribal, and other officials, including our office, should be communicating with, and to make sure that the next time this happens, and unfortunately, until we find a mechanism for cleaning this stuff up and we actually get serious about issues like 1872 Mining Act reform, I can pretty much guarantee you someday this is going to happen again, because it's happened in the past. I mean,
yes, sir.
We shouldn't rely on that. Even worse.
We shouldn't rely on the incredibly quick response that we have received from every one of the states and the tribes to make sure that this didn't go anywhere. And I just can't thank them enough, and I don't expect them to have patience about this at all. Neither do I.